Hello everybody, welcome back to the Pokemon Review series. In this episode, we're discussing Banette. Now, Banette is the Ghost Berry specialist, and yeah, it's an interesting Pokemon. It's got a bit of an interesting role in the meta, but I want to actually discuss it today, because that's what I do on this channel. So, it's got the Dozing Berry, not Berry, Sleep type, Berry specialty. Dozing is pretty typical of Ghost types, there's nothing unique going on there. It's got the variable charge strength S skill, which I personally really like on the berry specialists. I think it's one of the best skills for berry specialists to have. So you just kind of throw them on, don't think about it, just raw skill strength contributed to the Snorlax. The best type of skill for a berry specialist in my eyes. 17.9% ingredient trigger rate, which is, that's like middling, which is decent on a berry specialist. And a 3.3% skill trigger rate. That's nothing to, like, write home about. Nothing bad either. All this is just kind of, I'd say, the definition of mid. And its speed is a little bit on the faster side, too. A little bit above average. I think of 4640 as our, like, average speed in this game for Pokemon. So, seeing 4320, that's a little bit on the faster side. But it's got something that's not really going well for it, and that is where it's got favored berry, and that is at Old Gold Power Plant. Now, long-term fans of the channel will know my love for Raichu, and how I think Raichu is easily one of the strongest Pokemon in this entire game, one of the most easily huntable Pokemon in the entire game, and given that the Banette it's got only one level of evolution, which means it's going to have a weaker skill. Now, Raichu has a weaker main skill because it's not the variable amount, it's the fixed amount. But it's, as you can see here, the extra skill level and the extra procs per day come out to actually be more skill strength overall compared to the Banette, unless you put skill seeds into them, which I guess if you were to put a skill seed, let's make that comparison. Yeah, the Banette does get more skill strength per day, but who's putting... Unless you have a really, really, really good one, I wouldn't suggest putting skill seeds into a berry specialist. There are circumstances where if you're a premium player, you can justify it on a phenomenal berry specialist, but 99 times out of 100, this is going to remain at whatever their evolution level is. So, weaker main skill. It's also weaker for berries. I put in if they had Berry Finding S, and we're at Old Gold Power Plant wherever they go. And as you can see, Raichu comes out on top over the Banette. Also for raw ingredient strength, Raichu comes out over top of the Banette. So, Banette, it's not that it's bad. It's not bad. It's actually pretty good at doing what it does. However, it's just worse than Raichu in about every conceivable way. And I actually kind of wonder, I was making this comparison earlier. If I go to the Raichu, and I take a look at its pre-evos, if I go down to Pichu, you can encounter Pichu for just 76,000 drowsy power. Let's see, what's the Shuppet? It's probably the same. I think 76,000 is one of the lowest you can get. And Shuppet's pretty basic as well. Okay, so yeah, you're going to be seeing them roughly the same amount, Pichu versus Shuppet. However, its higher tier styles are actually lower, so you're going to be seeing more Pichu overall than what you'll see of Shuppet. Pichu's also at more meta-relevant islands, being Greengrass, Lapis, and Old Gold. I guess Old Gold is one they share, but I think Lapis is more meta-relevant than Top Hollow. And Pikachu is also there as well, also showing up at Cyan. So, and Pikachu is easy to catch as well. Sure, you won't gain that extra skill level as we discussed, but yeah. Now, the reason why I have the Gengar on the screen is oftentimes people make the comparison of Gengar being used as Berry Finder. And as you can see here, Banette is a much better Berry Finder than Gengar. Even if we don't have... If we don't have favored berry, then the Gengar does come out on top, because its ingredients do outrank the value contributed by Banette's ingredients plus berry, but if we have favored berry, then the Banette does beat out the Gengar. However, Gengar is still comparable in a sense that It's got one of the best ingredients in the game, being mushrooms, and it's one of the only producers of mushrooms, one of the best producers of mushrooms with its high speed. It's not the best, that's technically Quagsire, but given that it has this role of producing mushrooms and berries at the same time, it's a very, very powerful Pokemon, and if you really know my channel and my main series well, you'll know that I like combining the Gengar with the mushrooms and the Raichu with ginger and apples to make Neroli's Restorative Tea. A very simple meal. It's more like mid-tier meal, but when being crafted by nothing but berry specialists and a Gengar who's kind of like a berry specialist, that is tremendously powerful, because you're making a decent meal with berry specialists, so you don't have to run ingredient specialists. So that's kind of the whole Gengar comparison. It's overall, I think, more useful than the Banette, who just offers ghost berries. It does offer a little bit in unique ingredients, being eventually mushrooms, but oil and ginger. A little bit of that ginger. Unfortunately, there isn't too much synergy between oil and ginger throughout the meals. Ideally, on Berry Specialist, you'd like to see overlap of 2 ingredients on the same meal so that it can do better to supplement your ingredient specialists. And you're not really getting that with the Banette. Whereas, like Raichu with apple ginger, it's like that's one of the best combos in the game, because you can see in a lot of these meals there's apples and ginger. So having that just makes the Raichu better in another regard. So it's not that Banette's bad. If you catch a really good Banette, it will be solid at Old Gold Power Plant. It just is, unfortunately, there are other options that kind of do what it does, but better, or offer something else that the Banette doesn't offer. So even though it's weaker in one way, it's stronger in many other ways, which gives it more of a unique identity. So unfortunately, the Banette's not really seen all that often in the meta, but it is, despite not being bad, it's just like the definition of mid, and its island competition is one of the best Pokemon in the game. So given all that, you don't really see it all that often on teams, but it's not a bad Pokemon. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed, maybe learned something. If you have, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And as always, I thank you guys for watching and hope you have a wonderful day.